was going to use this for a summer segment. We never got to it, but I heard this question asked on a pod months ago, and it was fascinating to me because I am a huge sports historian, like sports history nut. And so some of my favorite players ever are people I never saw play. So the question was, if you could hop in a time machine and go back and experience, not like one game, but like experience an athlete's prime, who would it be? Because like I will never, it will never be lost on me how blessed I was to get all of Brady's career for my favorite team. You know what I mean? Like that's a very special thing. I can tell you anything about Tom Brady's career. And like, there's not many of the many people who can say something like that. You know, oh, I grew up in Chicago in the 90s. I saw all of Jordan. Or, yeah, I was a kid in the plains of Western Canada in the 80s, but there's nothing culturally relevant except for the fact that we were watching Wayne Gretzky every night. So, there's only a select few people when you break it down, and sports fans who can say that. So we're gonna take that out of it. We're gonna go in the time machine. We're gonna give you anyone you want. Scotty, I want to know who's yours and why.
Yeah, this was a good question, and I
think,
thank you. Part of me was inclined to think of the all-time greats across all of it. So, like, a couple guys like Muhammad Ali crossed my mind, right? Like, who wouldn't give to go back and watch him fight? Carl Lewis crossed my mind, right?
Yeah,
possibly America.
Notably, not picking Michael Johnson, Baylor grad, but
greatest, one of the greatest athletes ever. But I was trying to think of someone who would play for one of my teams. So
yep. That's kind of the way I was thinking.
Professionally, I'm a big Cowboys fan, so Roger Staubach comes to mind, right? The captain, the general, but the admiral, excuse me. But I came back to this guy because to me, when it comes to professional sports, this is not only.
Oh, I swear, if you say Hank Blaylock,
this is not only a GOAT, but this is somebody whose career was derailed by injury, which we talk about with a lot of guys.
Okay. Might be similar to mine.
But for me, it's got to be Bo Jackson, man.
Oh,
I mean, not just with the bow nose, like look at this dude, man. I mean, unbelievable, right? So as an NFL player, might be at the top of the list anyway. Not to mention that he was an all-star baseball player in Major League Baseball. Not to mention that in high school, he was the state champion in the decathlon. Yeah. Setting the state record for high jump and triple jump.
My goodness, man.
Dude was just like
7 yards per carry in 87.
Dog.
When everyone was loading the box.
Dude, I mean, I'm just like, yeah, that's who I would. And I don't know if I'd want to see him play a football game, a baseball game, both.
Just watch him work out.
Yeah, I mean, come on, bro.
Earl Campbell would be way high up on my list. So, and this is kind of the same thing, right? Like those two plus Herschel Walker, like just that speed and power, incredible to watch. And like he was a good baseball player. He should have focused.
An all-star baseball player.
He should have focused on football.
That's easy to say now, but Deion Sanders, all due respect to Deion Sanders, who also did both. Deion Sanders says Bo Jackson is the greatest two-sport athlete of all time.
I mean, yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I'm saying he would have been, and I get that he also gets hurt in football, so that kind of makes this point moot. But like, he would have been an all-time great football player. He would have been a pretty good baseball player, which he was.
Right,
I mean, he was pretty good. He made
was
an all-star team.
Yeah.
Had a nice little career to talk about. In the NFL, he would have been an all-time great, like one of the great running backs to ever play.
I think what's insane though, if he doesn't get hurt. With, by the way, an injury that modern medicine can handle, which just makes it all the more sad, right?
Yeah.
The baseball thing wasn't prohibiting his greatness in football. Like,
right.
He could have had a 11, 12-year NFL
was certainly a better baseball
career
player than Deion.
Yeah. But he could have had
Deion worked up to be a fine baseball player.
Right.
Serviceable. But there were some times where he was pretty bad in there. That's fair. Okay. Bo Jackson.
Yep.
Vincent Edward Jackson.
That would be mine.
Heisman Trophy. It's pretty good. So mine, it is somewhat difficult, but really not difficult at the end of the day. I tried to think of like my teams as well, and I would still consider this guy my favorite hockey player ever, even though he played his last game 20 years before I was born. That is the great, I still think the greatest hockey player ever to play, revolutionized the game. Number 4.
Westfall rolled it in front. Sanderson tried a shot that was wide, and Keenan cleared it, but not out. Bobby Orr behind the net to Sanderson. Orr! Bobby Orr scores, and the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
Great person, first of all. He was always humble. He was always quiet. I mean, he persevered. The game and winning the game was the most important thing. He was 5'7", 140 pounds. He was like a lightning in a bottle, and he was just a bantam. He set all sorts of records then. Everybody knew he was going to be fantastic. But you look at him as he grew. I played against him 3 years in junior. Never quit. Wow. And he just had a kind of an overshift. He had an overdrive that no one else had. No one could see it. I used to watch the films of him, and I used to watch, replays, not films like today you do today. But I'd watch, and then he'd be by you. And I'd say, were we that slow? But Bobby was something to behold when you watched him live. That was his greatness.
We don't have to say how good he was as a player. We all know it's very important to him. He's a great team player. I think that's the best thing you can say about anyone, that he was a great team player and a great teammate.
Bobby Orr, there's nothing close. In fact, Bobby Clark has this great, Bobby Clark, captain of the Flyers, Broad Street Bullies, big-time rivals in the 70s, a great player in his own right, 2-time MVP, Bobby Clark. And he had the greatest quote I thought about Bobby Orr. He said, we watch him and we would say, this dude's got to be in one league higher than this. Like the NHL was not good enough for him in a lot of ways. And it's ultimately, weirdly, sadly, what leads to his downfall, because they couldn't stop him. And so they had to play really physical with him. Penalties were a lot looser back then. And he played at a high rate of speed. And so he's always said this, the way I played, you're going to take a lot of hits, and just debilitating knee injuries year after year. At one point, the last few years of his career, there was no cartilage. It was just bone on bone. And like the things he had to go to just to get on the ice, it was incredible. One tough SOB, Bobby Orr, man, the best of the best ever. Great guy as well. It would be like my distinct honor to meet Bobby Orr. And I should have sent you this clip. There's something every day, Scotty, where I'm like, I should have sent you this, because in my favorite Boston movie ever, The Friends of Eddie Coyle, at the end of it, they go to a Bruins game, and it's this like kind of mobster, gritty bank robbery, crime drama movie. And yet they take like 2 minutes to just appreciate Bobby Orr. Like it's Robert Mitchum's character saying, what it would be to be a kid like this. What is he? 24 years old, best hockey player in the world, number 4, Bobby Orr. I mean, just peerless, absolutely peerless. Gretzky, I get it. The numbers are fantastic, and I'm just calling him the second best, right? Unbelievable player, and with numbers that probably will not be equaled in a lot of ways, or in a lot of his numbers, I should say. But when he retired, he was the all-time leading scorer, and the second leading scorer all-time was not only a guy that played in his era, but was a guy who played on his team. Bobby Orr, peerless. I mean, no one has dominated the league the way he did. Nobody. He was so much better than everyone else. So yes, Bobby Orr, old Boston Garden, winning the Stanley Cups with those great teams with Esposito and Cashman and Hodge and Busick and Cheesy and Turk. And oh yeah, I'd take that in a second. Bobby Orr. It was difficult. There were some good also rans, but Bobby Orr's that guy. Who were the other guys you were thinking of? Out of curiosity now.
I mean, I named a couple. I feel like you said about Brady, even though I'm not a Pats fan. Like, I feel fortunate to have seen Brady go. I feel that way about Mahomes right now. I'm
LeBron?
I have a story about that, actually. So,
okay. I still have LeBron number 2 overall.
So LeBron,
all time.
LeBron, he's number 1 for me.
Okay.
LeBron has been my favorite basketball player since he came to the NBA. So I was 10 or 11 when he went into the NBA, and I remember in my elementary or intermediate school local like library, getting a book the year he went into the NBA that was talking
Nice.
about his rise and getting drafted and all this. And I was like, that's my favorite basketball player. I had his jersey, all of it, when he was with the Cavs the first time. So I've just followed his whole career. And a couple years ago, I finally went, how the hell have I been here as LeBron James has been playing his whole career, and I've never seen him play? And we were living outside of Houston, so I got tickets to go see LeBron play against the Rockets and
the Lakers.
With the Lakers, yeah, just a year and a half ago or so. And what was so fun about it, Cam, is literally he did not play well. Like, he didn't shoot well. He had a couple clunkers from three. It was kind of the classic LeBron taking slightly too many shots kind of game. And yet he had a triple double. And I think it was in the third quarter, he got a steal on a fast break and did a classic take it all the way coast to coast,
throw the hammer,
tomahawk down. And I went, I got everything I wanted out of that basketball game. So it was a blast. It was honestly a blast.
Is that the best athlete you've seen live? Well, I should say there's two different ways to ask this question, I guess, because that probably is. He's at worst the second best basketball player ever to play.
Yeah.
But there's that aspect of it. And then like a guy who is in his prime of like, you know, is he the best player ever? No. But like, I saw this guy just dominate everyone around him. You know what I mean by that?
I think so.
Like,
I think so. Because LeBron, he was not what we would call dominant anymore, but it's still LeBron James. Like,
yeah. So like mine would also be LeBron. I've seen LeBron play live, but he was at the end of his peak, to be honest with you. I mean, he's still probably in it. It was 2015. He was with Cleveland. It was the first year back in Cleveland. Saw him play the Celtics in the playoffs. But the guy I think of when I ask that question to myself is Jack Eichel, playing for the Vegas Golden Knights. And I saw him play in college a bunch of times when he was at Boston University and won the Hobey Baker Award, which is the Heisman for college hockey. And that was like the most dominant I had seen anyone against their competition at that level, like not high school. You know what I mean? Like he was a freshman and he should have been playing in the NHL. Like he was so much better than everyone else on the ice. Kind of like Bobby Orr. Like actually a lot of what I was talking about, he's not Bobby Orr, but like he was far and away the best skater, and it was just effortless. Like he would just skate through everybody, effortless shot, best player on the ice by far. But yeah, I guess I did see LeBron too.
I'll tell you
LeBron, I saw Ortiz, you know.
When you talk about dominance like that, this guy is nowhere close to like greatest athlete of all time, but we're going to go hyper specific for just a second. Please. When Mike Hicks played football at China Spring.
Okay.
So this is Texas high school football.
Yeah, baby. My broadcast.
That dude played, he was a starter all 4 years of high school as a freshman all the way through senior year. And that guy never left the field. Defense, offense, special teams. He was in on every play. His senior year, it just became, if we can't move the ball on offense, put him in the backfield and pitch him the ball. And he was just fastest, strongest player every game he played. There was nobody that could touch him. When he finished his career, he was the second all-time leading receiver in Texas high school history, behind only Jordan Shipley. Who
was also a legend.
Yes. To this day, legend, he's still in the top 10. And he and Jordan Shipley are the only two that are still in the top 10 that haven't played in the last like 5 years, just because of the evolution of offenses. But when you ask for like dominance, that high school level, I'll tell you the other guy, he's currently at Texas A&M playing running back. He was the number one running back 2 classes ago. His name's Ruben Owens. I saw his very first high school game. I was calling their games in El Campo.
Really?
And his very first high school game, they're playing actually a division up. And last play of the game, he's a freshman. It's his first game ever. They pitch him the ball as time's expiring. He reverses field. And I'm thinking, this freshman, like he's toast, right? They're playing a bigger school. He just outruns everybody to the other end and goes and scores to win the game. And he dominated every game he played. So Texas high school football, you can get some of that.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, have you seen an NFL guy in high school?
I think Ruben will be.
Yeah.
But not that I remember. It's very possible I have, and I was too young to remember. I know guys that saw like Matt Stafford play in high school. Mm-hmm. I know plenty of people that saw Robert Griffin playing. In fact, RG3, my basketball coach said he was the best basketball player he's ever seen.
People were saying he was actually a real good hooper, man.
Yeah.
And obviously unbelievable track runner.
Yeah.
One last story before we go. This is my Texas high school football story of like my kind of foray into it. Because I was intrigued by it growing up. Like growing up in Massachusetts, I loved Friday Night Lights, the movie. And so like I knew all about Permian, and I loved like the history of Texas high school football and the pageantry and all that. But of course I didn't know like a ton about it coming down here, I guess more than most people that grew up in Massachusetts. But like my first day on campus at Baylor, I'm talking with the guy who lives the room next door, who I still talk to, still friends with. I had asked him like, oh, because he was a Houston kid. And I was like, did you have like were you a big time high school football school? And he goes, not really. I mean, we just haven't really been the same since Andrew Luck left.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck
Stratford.
you, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks, man. Guy who's, first pick in the NFL draft was your quarterback.
No big deal.
in high
No big
school.
deal.
Like, yeah, I would say you did something going on there.
So
Craig James' alma mater too. By the way.
Similar vibes. A couple months ago, I was living outside of Houston in the Sugar Land area, and I knew some students at a high school there that I asked them how their football season was going. Yeah, we haven't been good since CeeDee Lamb graduated. I mean, same kind of thing, right? It's just okay.